And the doctors actually turned around after the surgery, after finding out that she's pregnant with me, that look, you're on so many drugs at the moment, you're undergoing medical procedures, you're under the knife. There's a very, very high chance that the kid's either going to be born extremely disabled. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, that the kid will be born dead. Obviously, there's further complications that it could affect my mum. So even while I was in my mum's belly, there was challenges waiting for me. Real life stories.
We were going through the same
Real
thing.
life stories.
This is my life. I'm in control. Real life stories.
Real life situations.
Change
My
life.
life
Change my whole life.
Real life
We were
stories.
going through the same thing.
The people alive, the people alone, the people alone, the people alone, the people alone, change your life.
The people and us. I think you should bring us in with a bit of a, like a beatbox, like. It's me on the mic with Shek. Yeah.
Fam, you actually caught the beat.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
You caught the beat.
I caught the beat.
First time ever.
First time ever.
Yes.
Actually, it's not the first time
It's
ever.
definitely...
No,
Let's stop running.
whoa.
No, let's stop running.
Hey, we're here.
We're here.
We're actually here. I mean, after all the talks, all the months and months and months, all the plans and ideas and whiteboard Wednesdays and moody Mondays, we're about to launch our podcast. So you know what? Yeah. If you guys can't visualize what that is, I'll just us slapping each other's hands, with Pansy a bit like that. But guys, welcome to the people and us.
The first episode.
The first episode.
Numero uno. That means number one, I think.
Number ek. That means number one as well.
In Gujarati.
Well, actually, it could be Hindi too. Ek do teen, char panch saat aat no das gyara. Okay.
Lost the beat again.
Nah, there's no beat. No, you wasn't with the beat.
I am the beat.
Well, then you need to beat yourself up.
But yeah, no, man, it's good to be here, man. Like, obviously, behind the scenes, we've been doing a lot of work already. We've been doing the Whiteboard Wednesdays, the Moody Mondays, secretly filming all the other podcasts.
Yeah.
But then we had to kind of stop and be like, you know what?
We're not doing it right. We need to set back.
I think we need to introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good start.
And then that's why the interview's now out. So if you guys have just jumped straight into this podcast, what you lot need to do is just, rewind a little bit backwards. There's a little clip on Instagram. Watch the interview. Find out what this podcast's about. We will drop it in this podcast again to tell you what it is. But that interview is powerful, and I really hope you guys go see it to see exactly what we want to bring to you lot.
Yes, sir.
But the people and us, in a nutshell, is 7 billion people out there in this world. There's so many stories to be told, no matter how big or small. We want to hear it and we want to share it. So Shek has a story. I have a story. We're going to drop our stories first. And then we're going to try introducing as many people onto this podcast that have a story to tell that could either be inspiring or helpful or just even something that you just needed to do yourself to get something off your chest to make you better. And we're going to provide that platform for you. Starting off in West London. So we've got some real big talents coming onto West London talking to us about their struggles and what they've had to do and what they've lived through in order for them to reach where they are right now. And then they'll talk about their futures too.
Yes, sir.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am your host, IAMJHYA.
I am your host, IAMJHYA. Yeah, I am, and I am again.
Yes.
I am Vishal.
This guy.
And I'm your host, Vishal. So, today, you know what? We want to start it off a little bit cheerful because this podcast can get a little bit sad at times. But don't worry, there's always a deep line story we're trying to tell. And when we get through it, there's always that light on the other side. And that's the most important thing, guys. You know what? We all live our lives. We all go through ups and downs, smiles and frowns. But in through it all, there is a light on the other side. And that's what we want to show you guys. Through our stories and hopefully everyone else's stories. So today we're going to start with you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So obviously I've heard your story. We've been going around Greenford High School. We've told the story once before. We've told it twice before, 3 times, 4 times.
Listen, off the record, yeah? No, on the record.
No,
on the record, yeah? We have recorded this a few times. And you lost it a number of times.
Hermione.
And who is Hermione?
Hermione's my old laptop.
So he names his laptop
So if you guys are watching on the YouTube clip, this is Aria, just to let you know. Yeah, it's my babes right now. She don't crash on me. She's still recording.
He's actually recording this
Yeah,
now.
he is recording.
So not only first time we done it, we done the whole bloody thing, realizing it didn't record.
Yeah.
Then we actually recorded it, saved it,
Yeah.
edited it,
Yeah.
and you lost it.
No. Hermione left.
But this time, look, what did I say? Third time lucky.
It was about 6 times.
Sixth time lucky. Yeah.
So your story doesn't even start when you were born or after you were born. It starts before you were born. Do you want to just jump straight into that?
Okay. So to explain, obviously, my story, we do have to take it back like quite a lot. And my story pretty much starts at my conception. So at the time when my mum found out she was actually pregnant with me, she was undergoing surgery. And the doctors actually turned around after the surgery, after finding out that she's pregnant with me, that look, you're on so many drugs at the moment, you're undergoing medical procedures, you're under the knife. There's a very, very high chance that the kid's either going to be born extremely disabled. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, that the kid will be born dead. Obviously, there's further complications that it could affect my mum. So even while I was in my mum's belly, there was challenges waiting for me. Do you know what I mean? But my mum being the woman she is, my dad being a priest by nature, they just realised that this is God's gift. No matter what happens, how this child comes, be it a boy, girl, disabled, we're gonna do whatever it takes to look after it. And thankfully, they didn't abort me. They decided to go through with the pregnancy, and I was born premature. So I was born at 6 months as opposed to 9. And if anyone knows anything about premature babies, there's a lot of complications in that alone, right? So again, loads of complications with being born, not being developed, i.e. your organs, particularly your lungs and your heart, which makes it extremely difficult if you are premature for the first few days, few weeks. That's really make or break. So 6 months later, December 31st, I decided I wanted to come out on December 31st. But not only did I want to come out on December 31st, 1991, it also happened to be 11:58 at night.
2 minutes before.
Yeah, it's like I knew. I was like, listen, fireworks, I'm down. Right? So 11:58, so 31st of December, 11:58 at night, my mum's in Park Royal Hospital. Shout out anyone that's born in Park Royal, you're automatically a legend in my eyes. Gang.
Did you know I was born in Park Royal?
Of course I did.
You did?
It was a secret shout out to you.
It was a secret.
I had no fucking clue.
You had? I never told you I was born in Park Royal, innit?
Yeah,
you know what? I say that. I'm not 100% sure myself.
But yeah, so 11:58 I was born. Again, premature. It was difficult. But funnily enough, so when you are born, especially when you're premature, they put you in something called an incubator. So an incubator basically assists you in the earliest stages. So i.e. again, if you did have poor circulation or poor lung capacity, etc., the incubator helps you sort of transition from the internal environment to the world, right?
Okay.
So I was born, they put me in the incubator, and I was there for less than 24 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Doctors turned around and they said, you could take this child home. And my mum was obviously confused. She's like, what do you mean? Like he's tiny. Like at the time, my dad could hold me in his hand, literally like that. Not happening now, right? But literally could hold me in the hand like that. And they turned around and said, yeah, no, he's fine. You can take him home, because my lungs and my heart were incredibly strong. And my dad was like, yeah, fine, okay. We got into the car, and I made the journey back to St. Raphael's estate. And yeah, that was pretty much where it starts. And again, for anyone that has dealt with anything similar, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what my parents were thinking about at the time. Doctor turned around and says, you've got this thing inside of you. First, get rid of it, because you might die, the kid might be dead, might be disabled. So it takes real strong character for both my parents to turn around and say, no, like this is, again, we're from a very religious background. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing.
Or you were the blessing.
I was the blessing, yes. Shout out.
To yourself.
Yes.
All right, so obviously it was a very difficult start, but it wasn't your difficult start, I would say. It was your parents' difficult start.
Yeah.
So that probably now that I'm thinking about it, that shows their strength,
100%.
which is now in you. Because if we start going through your journey now, I realise where your strength, where your courage and your characteristics are now coming from, and it is actually through your
100%.
parents.
And again, as we go through the story, you're going to learn more about my dad's faith, my mum's resilience and her strength. So I'm a perfect combination of both of them. I'm not blowing any trumpets or anything.
You look like you're like Mike Tyson, right? You got some boxing gloves as well. You look like you're ready to do some Rocky Balboa stuff, right?
I come from a beauty. What's the name? Rocky who?
Rocky.
What's the surname?
No, I'm alright. Yeah, I call things. I say things the way I like to say things.
Respect, bro.
Yeah?
Listen,
Like,
each to their own.
exactly.
Each to
It's
their own.
monopoly. It's not monopoly, whatever you guys call it. It's monopoly. It's mo-no-poly. Monopoly. Monopoly. Yeah.
I'm a visual.
I am a vision.
Oh.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I didn't think it was Papa John's. I thought it was Papa Jones. It's cool. I like to do things my way. So,
Cheers that.
thank you. Rocky Balboa is...
Balboa. Rocky Balboa. Fucking hell. But yeah, so it was a difficult start. Literally the difficult start is literally the first time I touched foot on this earth, and it already had my back against the wall. Already had challenges waiting to face me. But with the help of Mum and Dad, we got through it.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So, when did you learn about that story? Because you know what, we've done it a few times on this podcast, and that's the one question I never asked.
So
you.
it's interesting because the early part of my childhood, as a kid, you're never gonna fucking turn around and be like, oh yo, how was I born? You don't really care, right? It's only until later that I believe when you get to a certain age that your parents start telling you stories as a grown up as opposed to just their child. So you know what? I couldn't tell you exactly when it was, but it was in the recent years. I say a few years back, when I actually first learned about how that all happened. And it was crazy just to think about. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew I was premature. My height kind of gives it away. But
so it was because of you're premature, that's why you're short.
I'm gonna use that.
You're going to use
I'm going to use that. That's my
because
excuse.
everyone
No,
else...
that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. I don't need an explanation.
Do you want to
No, I'm premature.
Huh?
I'm premature.
Yeah, I know you're... I'm sorry that you're
Okay,
premature.
come.
Do you want to stand up for the camera?
I'm standing. You fucker. But yeah, it was a few years back where my mum really opened up and told me, and without going off track and stuff, I wasn't actually the most difficult birth. It was actually my sister, the one before me, that was more difficult. But yeah, man, I made it, and that was really the beginning.
All right, so growing up, obviously the areas you grew up in weren't the best areas, but let's hit a little bit more to the home.
Yeah.
Like growing up, let's talk about your parents now, yeah? Because obviously they've shaped your life. So let's go into a little bit more detail about who your mum is and who your dad is and what they are to you. But obviously a little bit about their struggles, because their struggles now come with your struggles, right?
Of course. So growing up, right, my earliest memory of just being a kid, I was always just, I was a wild child.
Still are a wild child.
Still am a wild child, yeah. But I always had this sense of, I know who I am from an early age. It was never a case of, it's like I wanted to do what I wanted to do. It wasn't a case of I wanted to follow the crowd or do what other people done. But yes, I did grow up in a rough area. Went to a rough school as well. But more so my early memories of my family, in particularly my mum, dad was working all the time. So he was a coach driver. And if you
shout out to coach driver. My pops was a coach driver.
So if you ever, funny enough, if you ever met my dad, somehow, some way, within sentence 2 or 3, he'll drop that randomly. You could be talking about the weather, and he'll somehow manage to drop in the fact that he used to be a coach driver. But so he would always work ridiculous hours, just like your typical Asian family. The man was always working. It was up to the women to raise the family, right? But my earliest memory of mum was simultaneously always being sick. You know, like I think back, and at the time, obviously, you don't really pay too much attention to it. You don't really understand what's going on. But as I got older, we're saying about 6-7 years old, I started being very, very aware of what was happening. So mum's health has been up and down for as long as I can remember. In and out of hospitals. Wouldn't understand why I had to go visit my mum in the hospital for weeks after weeks. And in particular, the thing that I remember vividly, so with my mum, she's had rheumatoid arthritis, severe rheumatoid arthritis, and that's travelled throughout her whole body. She had high diabetes. She had other riddled with illnesses, and it's like one pill affected the other pill. Then they put her on another medication that affected something else, and the story just went on and on and on. And the thing that I remember the most, and I think the thing that impacted me the most, was when Mum went in for spinal surgery. And this is when I must have been in college, sixth form. I was in sixth form, I believe, or maybe year 11, year 10. Can't remember exactly, but I was young and I was in school. Again, not really fully understanding why my mum is in hospital in central London. So, can't remember the hospital exactly, but I remember leaving school. Again, I'm a kid. Everyone's mucking around, playing. I would get on a train and then go central London to meet my mum. Visiting hours, right? And I used to do that frequently. And understood she was having a spinal operation. So she'd done the operation. Yes, it comes with loads of complications, but for her, the pain that she was in was unbearable. So the sort of benefits of the operation sort of shined through the negatives. So she done the operation, and she came out of the operation, and again, it's a bit of a blur to me, but I remember she was coming out in a wheelchair. This is when she was at home.
Okay.
And again, I get it, you just had a spinal operation, fair enough. They might have given you a wheelchair just to move around at the beginning, right, to heal. But then a week went on, 2 weeks went on, 3 weeks went on, 4 weeks went on, Mum's still using this wheelchair. And I got really, really confused. And again, because as you do when you're a kid, a lot of these memories are suppressed, and you don't really know how you found out. You don't really know when it exactly was that you found out. But I found out the operation went bad, right? Because any operation it
can go bad.
Yeah. So they ended up, I think they cut something or they'd done something, and she was basically having bolts. So if you think about your spine, the lower vertebrates, she had 6 bolts on either side that was wedged in. It was called spinal fusion surgery. Again, back then compared to what it is now was a whole different ballgame. It's not as advanced as it is now. So they put these bolts into Mum's spine. A few weeks after, I found out that it's gone wrong and she will never walk again. And that messed me up. Like, as a kid, again, I had anger issues. I was lashing out, getting into fights. I was a kid getting into fights weekly. Like, who does that? I'm a kid. I should be worrying about girls or
Playing football.
Worrying about, menial stuff. And I'm there now dealing with the fact that I've seen this strong, independent woman that's held the family together. She's the one at the cookouts that's doing everything. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's making sure everyone's simultaneously. She's like Superwoman to me. All of a sudden, you're going to turn around and tell me she's in a wheelchair. So you can almost imagine how that affected me. But as with everything the family pulled together, I had to grow up from a very young age, a very, very young age. Outside of that, there were other external issues, but it just meant that from an early age, I was exposed to things that others in my peer group weren't.
Not. Yeah.
And looking back on it, I'm kind of, in a way, not glad that it happened, but it made me who I am.
It's given you gratitude towards life. Yeah, it's made you more grateful towards life, because obviously you've now seen. And it's weird to say, unless it happens to you, you will never imagine it happening. Of course. Yeah, so there's certain things in my life, and I see my peers or I see other people that it's never happened to, and they're. It's not that they're oblivious, they're innocent from it. And it's not their fault either, but it's that innocence that if it did ever actually then happen to them, it's a lot more difficult for them to accept it, because they're that innocent
100%.
towards it.
It toughened me up. There's a saying that a knight in shining armour is someone that's never had his metal tested. I had my metal tested from a very early age.
I heard that, yeah.
I'll quote that on the page, don't worry. But it really tested my metal. It would toughen me up. Right, to make a sword, you got to hit it until you make something strong. But the thing is, at the time, I didn't obviously understand the lessons I was taking away from this. I didn't get it. I was bitter. I was, to a certain degree, like, why the hell does everyone else get to be a kid? Now thinking back on it, that's what I was feeling. Like, why do you get to be carefree, and why do you get to, and I have to go home and make sure my mum's okay, and I got to go home and make sure everyone's good, where everyone else gets to live their lifestyle. So to a certain extent, again, being young, not understanding that these things were teaching me things, I drew on the negative straight away. But yes, it was a blessing in disguise.
Dominantly, your childhood, you're looking after your mum, your dad's always at work, but you lot as a family right now, you're pulling together.
Always.
Yeah, always pulling together.
Every
so
time.
you're drawing strength, courage throughout your childhood, which is now developing you into your adulthood.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you're now moving away from college and going into your first year of university.
Yeah.
Talk me through what happened there.
Oh, sick. The first year of uni was, listen, I don't think there's certain things I can say on this.
You know what? Just before you get on there, I mean, I know you started speaking a little bit after what you said, but when you said the shining armor, metal, whatever, it left me speechless. I think, right, I could tell girls that you don't need a shining armor. What do you want a shining armor for?
Look at all these kinks.
I'll be like, take my top off, show my bird, I got shanked to the back.
Scars, listen, all joking aside, I genuinely find scars beautiful. Like, it's weird. You can ask my friends. Like, we fuck around and... I need to get used to not swearing. But we fuck around. And you know, everyone makes nicknames and stuff.
Yeah.
I created a nickname, Scar, because I've got loads of scars. And I find scars fascinating.
Do you like them?
Bro, every scar...
Do you see one of mine?
No, not your weird ones.
Wait, why are they weird?
I want to chest a bit weird.
What, you don't like the burn on the chest?
I mean...
What about the scar on the back?
That was wavy.
Do you like it?
That was wavy.
Yeah.
That was wavy.
Do you want to kiss it?
No.
Oh.
Big gay. But yeah, scars, man. Again, you take something away. Every scar leaves a lesson. Every scar leaves a blessing. It has a story with it. So I find scars magical. So big up anyone out there that has scars, has imperfections, has burn marks. Listen, man. Solidarity to you, man. Respect. You made it through, and that's your sign.
Right, so you were going to say something about your first year university.
Uni, yeah. So first year uni was like everyone else's first year.
Knight in shining armor. Sorry, it's been bugging me. It went in my head. There you go. That's what it was. Knight in shining armor.
I am a vision. I am a vision. So uni, my first year of uni was amazing. It was pretty much like everyone else's first year at uni, right? Crazy partying, getting used to. So I moved out for university. A lot of people didn't move out for university. But I moved out. I was fortunate enough to have that experience, and it was further out from home. So I moved out. First year was fantastic. Met some beautiful people that I'm still friends with to this day. First year was fantastic. It wasn't until second year that things really started to get interesting. Now I would say out of everything in my life that's happened to me, this was probably it's one of those checkpoints in my life, I would say, where things really started getting real. So I'm there in the second year. So I finished my first year. Went back to second year. Finished my January exams. That's it. Finished my January exams. And there was a few weeks before term started. Yeah, just finished the exams and I had nothing to do. Now, at the time, the property we were living in, believe it or not, it's another story, but the heating was not working. Yeah. I had to wear flipping jackets and trainers. I had to basically walk through the door and put more clothes on. Yeah, it was freezing. So I'm sitting there. I thought I developed what I thought it was a chest infection. You know when you self-diagnose yourself?
Yeah.
Chesty cough, I got a fever, phlegm, headaches, feeling a bit weak. And I just brushed it off as a chest infection. But I thought, you know what, I'm heading home because this is shit. Went home. Then I remember I went there for the weekend and loved the central heating. I was like, oh, this is sick. Had mum's food. But after the weekend, I was like, this is boring. I want to go back to uni, man. There's a house party going on. Mum and dad straight up looked at me and said, listen, you look horrible. You're not going anywhere.
Not much has changed since then.
I look beautiful.
Okay, no. Carry on. Oh.
Did they hear that?
I don't know if you picked it up, but you need to stop with the swearing. You know?
I love it.
All right.
I'm a passionate individual.
You are a passionate individual.
Yeah, so I came back. Mum and dad said, look, you're looking rough. Why don't you stay here, go to the GP, get your medicine, have some diet bath, obviously, because that's their remedy. And then once you're fixed, go back. So I was like, alright, cool, makes sense. So went to the GP. Again, walked in there, diagnosed myself. So listen, doc, chest infection, write me up some antibiotics, I'm out. He's like, yeah, cool, what's your symptoms? Told him my symptoms. He pretended like he gave a shit, and then I left. It wasn't until I put my hand on the door, so I literally got to the door, I was about to open it and leave, and I turned around and I said, you know what, yeah, I've been a bit reckless at uni recently, you let me do a blood test, right? I turned around to the doctor, I was like, look, it's been years, like quite literally years since I've been tested for anything. Can I do a blood test? He looked at me, he said, yeah, fantastic. Right up, tomorrow morning, yeah, you go do your blood test. Fine. Next day, jump in my dad's car. We go down to, what was it, Chaplin Road clinic. I walked in there, done my blood test. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. I went back home and I fell asleep. 4 hours later, I get a phone call. And then my dad comes up the stairs, he wakes me up, so it's the GP on the phone. They want to speak to you. I'm like, this is weird, like, would I leave my phone or something, like, what's going on? So answer the phone, and he's like, look, I don't want to scare you, but you need to come back to the GP immediately. I was like, you've done a shit job of that. You know, like, no one says that. Like, don't worry, but get the fuck back in now, right? So I'm thinking, all right, you know, I don't know what's going on, but he's the man. So I told Dad, listen, we got to head back. Again, Dad's none the wiser. So we drive back down to the GP. He hands me this letter. And he says, I don't want you to read it, but head down to, I think it was, where was the first hospital? I can't remember the hospital that I first went to, but you need to take this to A&E. I think it might have been Park Royal, actually. No, it was Norfolk Park. You need to take this to A&E, hand them the letter. I said, listen, no offence, doc, but I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what's going on, right? And he goes, look, he's doing the doctor thing, where he's just trying to not make you worry. He's like, look, don't worry about it, but they found something in your blood and they just want to check it out, just want to make sure. I was like, okay, yeah, but what did they find, right? And they go, it's something called creatinine. It's a marker that tells you how well the kidney's functioning. I was like, all right, again, didn't really think much of it. I'm 21, literally just celebrated my 21st birthday. December 31st, 21st birthday, this is January, this all started happening. I was like, cool, I'll go with it. I thought I might have had a kidney infection or kidney stones or urine infection, whatever. Thinking very small of it. Went to the hospital, handed them this letter. This is where shit got real. Yeah? I hand them the letter, all of a sudden, shit just starts moving slow-mo. Doors open, boom. Bed comes out, plow. Thinking, right, someone's seriously ill in this place. Like, what's going on? I'm looking around and they're like, Mr. JR. I was like, shit, that's me. They was like, oh, you need to get on the bed. It's like, I'm confused, right? Because I walked in here and now you tell me get on the bed, right? I could walk with you. And then I'm thinking, wait, hold on, why? I got a chest infection. Like, what's going on? Like, NHS really improved that much? Right? So I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to get on the bed. Got on the bed. It's not until they started strapping me up that I'm thinking, what the hell's going on?
Oh, geez.
I'm a bit confused now.
You
right?
self-diagnosed yourself with a chest infection. Next thing you know, less than 24 hours later, you're strapped to a bed in Norfolk Park Hospital.
Yeah. So they're putting all things on me, and they're putting an ECG monitor to check how my heart's working and stuff. And I'm still confused because this happened very, very quickly. From handing in the letter to being on that bed, getting strapped to everything was literally a matter of minutes. Right?
Should have read the letter.
Should have read the letter.
You should have read the letter.
I should have read the letter. Yeah, you should have read the letter. But anyway, it wasn't until I looked at my blood pressure. Now, I know a little bit. So I looked at the blood pressure reading and it said something stupid like 290 over 220 or something. I was like, fam, either your machine is fucked up or I'm fucked up. Something's fucked up, right? Yeah. And that's when shit started getting serious. I'm thinking, all right, maybe they have got the right guy, yeah. And it was strange. With any hospital, anyone that's ever experienced hospitals, you know that straight away they don't really diagnose you. It's a number of tests and days and no, Mr. Joe, we can't tell you anything until we get the results from this blood test, and we got to do this scan. And anyway, long story short, that same day they turned around and done an emergency operation on me. Again, providing that you haven't given me much information, right? You've not told me what's really going on, some indication about my kidney. Next thing you're telling me you have to put a tube into my groin while I'm awake that night.
How?
Yeah. So I go with it. They do it. They send me to the. It's actually right there. They closed the curtain. The guy came, gave me local anesthetic, and then you start putting this. You have the biggest artery, apparently, the most accessible artery, should I say, in your groin, and he's putting this tube that is yay big. For anyone that's, it's quite big. Puts it into my groin. Again, I'm awake. They then send me. They have to send me for something called emergency dialysis. At the time, again, I was never aware of what this term was. I didn't know what dialysis was. The Norfolk Park didn't have it. They contacted all the hospitals around. The closest hospital that had a machine available was Ealing Hospital. So I got sent to Ealing Hospital, plugged up to this machine that was so old, I could sneeze and it would stop working. So I had to literally stay there 24 hours, like this, like a coffin, like I was dead. If I moved, it would stop working. Next day, after this emergency dialysis, so they called it, I asked them, I was like, listen, what's going on? Like, no offense, but I need some answers, right? It wasn't until the next day that the nurse told me why they done it. So again, there's a marker called creatinine in everyone's body, and your creatinine as a healthy man with healthy kidneys will be anywhere in the region of 80 to 120. They said when they done the blood test that day in the hospital, my one came back over 9,000.
Oh.
That's when I knew something was up.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm there again. I'm an optimist. Anyone knows me knows I'm an optimist. I'm still shrugging off. I'm like, alright, cool. Kidney infection, kidney stones, or urine infection, whatever. They then send me to Hammersmith Hospital. So apparently they're the specialists.
Hospital to hospital.
Hospital. In a matter of 2 days, I must have went to 3, 4, 5 different hospitals. So they then sent me to Hammersmith Hospital, the national experts when it comes to renal. That is when, after I think it was the 5th, 6th day, again I have friends coming to visit me, females coming to visit me, family, loads of people coming to visit me, and I'm telling them the same thing. I was like, don't worry, like, it's just something small, I'll be out soon. I'm walking around with a catheter. Yeah, catheter is where it's connected to your peeing into a bag. And you can picture me, you know me now, you picture me walking around with a bag just smiling like, yeah, I'm good, man, holding my weebie. It was on the 6th day where they turned around, and my dad was actually the first one that was told. The doctor had done the courtesy of telling him, because my dad was with me every day, every night, every hour he was awake, he was there. But they eventually told me that I was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure.
End stage, yeah?
End stage. 21. Doctor came into the room, closed the curtains, and then told me my kidneys had failed.
Not one, but both.
Both.
Because we could survive on one.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, but both your kidneys at the age of 21
completely failed.
Have now failed.
Yeah, so obviously it was a huge shock to not myself, but everyone. It's like no history of renal failure in the family before, no real health issues before. And it was the moment it sank in. For the first, when I heard it first, I was just pissed off. I was just like, what? I wasn't upset. I was like, all right, cool, we'll deal with it. Because maybe I didn't grasp how serious it was. And they explained to me, they was like, all right, we're gonna have to, the medical team was very, very helpful at Hammersmith. And they came down and they told me, all right, look, this is the situation. This is what we have to do. It's a case of putting you on dialysis. They explained to me what dialysis is. They have to put tubes. So I got another operation while I was awake. They put tubes into my chest. It goes in here, through your skin, up your collarbone, down into your heart. Again, I was awake when they done that. And I started dialysis. And it wasn't until, it was again, at the beginning I was angry. It's when the moment it was myself, one of my best friends and his dad were in the hospital room, and my dad wheeled my mum in, and that's when I broke down. Like tears. Like I was in a rage. Like not for me, and this is the strange thing. I wasn't crying for me. I was crying for them. I was like a God-fearing man, a guy that prays twice a day, religiously, every day of his life. A woman that has so much faith. A woman that's done absolutely everything. The good people, the best people I know in my life, right? And you're gonna do that to them. And in that moment, that's it. There was no God. To me, he didn't exist, because he would never put, again, people like my mum and dad through things like this. But yeah, long story short, very long story short, I was on dialysis for a very long time. I'd say, I think it was about 8 months.
So just quickly, this is a machine that is literally plugged into you, takes
Correct.
your blood out of you,
Correct.
cleans it up, puts your blood back into you.
Yeah.
And I remember when you first told me about dialysis, this is before we even thought about the podcast or anything, and you were telling me about it, you was like, everyone in that room was either 40 or plus.
Yeah.
And you was the only 20-year-old there.
It was me and 2 other guys. So there was 3 of us in a room that had housed more than, I'd say, 50 people, and there's 3 of us at a young age. So it was at that time it wasn't known, right? It was so strange. I remember when I was going to dialysis for the first time, I'm wheeling my mum in a wheelchair. Yeah, I'm still apart from, you would never know. Put it that way. Everyone that ever met me at that time would never know that I was ill, because I was never the guy to sit there and just wallow in my own pity, right? So I'm wheeling my mum in, and they're like, okay, but it says Mr. J, it might be a typo. And they're trying to get my mum ready. I was like, yo, don't touch my mum. I'm like, I'm here for me. Right? They're looking at me like, nah, you look fine, stop playing games. And I went, I got the tubes, right? So dialysis was very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So you're now waiting for something, right? So you're
Yeah.
waiting for a kidney transplant?
Transplant, yeah. And
Yeah.
there's 2 ways that it happens. So one, you're on a donor list, which is basically like winning the lottery. It's not a case of you're the 10th person in the hospital, so you're number 10. No, it comes down to genetics, blood types, genes, etc. So it's basically like, let's just say, for example, me and you were both we had both had kidney failure, and we were on the list. You could have been on there for a day. I could have been on there for 10 years. If someone dies in Manchester, for example, and they have a kidney that matches your genes and your blood, you will get that kidney over me, because it's more suitable for yourself. So that's the first way. It's like literally winning the lottery.
Yeah.
The second way is going to be a live donor. So that's either your friends, your family, or loved one, or someone that is willing to give you their kidney. So they first start off with testing your friends and family. And one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life, again, 21 years old, I have to sit there. I think I had some dodgy phone back then as well. Text absolutely everyone in my phone list, explaining firstly what had happened, and secondly asking if they would mind giving me their kidney.
I mean, you know what? That's not an easy phone call. Hi there. What's happened to me? Can I get your kidney?
Yeah.
It's
But
not like you're asking for like.
I sat
borrow
there
the
like,
car or
honestly, I'm
anything.
sitting there, and it's like a movie scene, because I'm sitting there in the hospital room, contemplating how to say this. Excuse me. And I sat there with the phone in my hand, and you know, it's like in a movie, you type it out and you delete it, and you type it out and you delete it. I've done that for a good hour, until I plucked up the courage to just look. This is the situation. My kidneys have failed. I got diagnosed on Thursday. They're asking for friends, family, relatives to come forward if they wish to be
tested.
Yeah. I sent that text out. 12 people replied.
Wow.
Saying yes. That's not including my family. 12 people outside of my family
Were willing to give you their kidney.
said that they want to give me their kidney
That's
simply
beautiful.
because of who I am. And that was a moment.
Well done
I'll
on
never
those 12
forget.
people for coming forward.
Oh,
man.
honestly, these are people I'll never forget for the rest of my life. So they started doing the test. I had to go on dialysis for a certain period of time simply because my blood was quite literally becoming poison. It was bad. Again, my creatinine's at 9,000. They have to bring all of these levels down before they give you a kidney. So I'm on dialysis, at this point 4, 5, 6 months, and that optimism is slowly leaving. Do you know what I mean? I'm now forced out of university. I've had to come back home. I can't work. I'm ill. I'm being plugged up to a machine 3 times a week that is quite literally keeping me alive. And the best way I could describe it, and I've said it many times before, it is the closest thing to being dead without being dead. And the reason why I say that is because these tubes that are permanently in my heart is transferring all the blood out into this machine. I'm quite literally looking at my life here, and that's being sucked straight back into me, and that goes on. Other than that, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. at night. 6 hours of this.
Wow.
Rough. There were times it was bad, like I'd be throwing up, and I always done it behind closed doors. I would never let my parents know it was that bad. If I'd come out, I remember one time I came out and all of my friends, God bless them, absolutely every single one of them, they were there for me the whole time. Yeah, they were the ones that were picking me up, dropping me off, telling my dad, look, you rest, we'll look after him today. One time I was coming out of dialysis, and it was one of the ones, it was a bad session. I was sick. I come around the corner, and I see my friends, all of them, 10, 12 of them, waiting by the car, right? I look at them and I had to turn back again like a movie. I was like, I'm gonna throw up, but I can't do it in front of them. I don't want them to feel bad. I don't want them to give me sympathy. It's like, I'm a man, I can get through this by myself, right? So I threw up on the side. I come around the corner like, yo, what's going on, boys? Literally inside, I was dying.
Wow.
So it was a tough time. Tough time. But yeah, the test started. My family obviously stepped forward. They rejected my mum straight away, too old. Too sick, sorry.
Too sick, yeah.
Dad was too old.
Yep.
The only ones that were left were my 2 sisters, my brother-in-law, my brother. So they tested those 4 first. One by one, they got tested, and I remember one by one they started calling me, all within the same couple of days. So my brother was the first one that called saying, look, I've been tested, unfortunately I'm not a match. So yeah, no worries, bro. I'm still hopeful that someone's gonna be a match. My sister calls me, sorry, I'm not a match. My brother-in-law calls me, yeah, sorry, I'm not a match. And you can imagine at this point, I'm thinking, shit, this is me for the rest of my life now. I ain't getting a kidney, I'm gonna be plugged up to this machine forever. And again, this particular week was a very, very bad week of
dialysis.
Yeah. And I remember this day vividly. This day, I could literally close my eyes and relive it over and over and over again. I came downstairs, I opened the front room door. My mum and my sister, Pooja, are sitting there, and they look like they've been crying. I'm just like, again? Really? Really? I didn't pay attention to it because obviously, as you can imagine, this time in my life, everyone's crying. Friends are crying, sisters crying, dad's crying, the tears are crying, everyone's crying.
I mean, you didn't even see me and you didn't even know me at that point.
You were crying as well?
Yeah, I was crying,
I
man. Yeah, did you feel it? Yeah.
Yeah. But, so I closed the door, went into the kitchen. I remember it so vividly, I know what I had for breakfast. I poured Cheerios. So I'm sitting there watching Jeremy Kyle. I'm looking over to my mum and my sister, and they're giving me this weird look. And my sister's like, it's going to be all right. And at this time, again, it's been a bad week. I'm not feeling great. I lash out. I'm like, what do you know? It's not going to be all right. Do you know what I mean? I'm in pain. I'm struggling, man. Like, this is me. You're not going through it. I'm physically going through this stuff. Which is selfish of me. But then...
You were having a bad week.
Bad week.
Yeah, it happens.
She said it again. And this time I made eye contact with her. And she said, yo, bro, it's going to be all right. And it's one of the moments that were just so powerful because words did not have to be exchanged. The eye contact was enough. I knew I was getting a kidney, and I knew my sister had the kidney. That was a match. And boy, listen, I cried like a baby. Like uncontrollably crying, like, and it was weird. You cry when you're sad, you cry when you're angry. This was a weird cry. Like, thinking back on it, I was like, what the flip am I doing? I was wailing, right? But yeah, man, my sister, such a beautiful, selfless act. She donated me a kidney, man. So I had the transplant on 24th of July 2013. Next Wednesday would make it 6 years since I've had the kidney. And touch wood, no problem so far, man.
So, you got a kidney, must be really excited. Life's, started all over again for you. So you're probably going to make all the right decisions now, aren't you?
No.
Thought not.
So look, don't get me wrong. Life was good for a little while. You got to keep in mind, that from diagnosis to recovery, it was about a year and a bit. And in this time, I realised that, look, all my friends were progressing. Most of my friends are graduating. People are getting jobs and getting paid and getting cars and stuff. I had a whole year and a bit just swiped off. So I come back thinking, all right, cool, I'm going to come back with a vengeance. I'm going to, do the right things. I then got a job, I think at the time it was with HSBC. Yeah, I was excited. First, quote unquote, proper job, right? What do? I decided I'd go buy a motorbike. Big mistake.
Is that because you're a big guy and sitting on a motorbike?
No, because at the time I was good.
Rocky.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But the reason why it was a bad idea, because literally about a year and a half after being given the kidney, having the transplant, I was involved
Second chance of life.
Second chance. I was involved in a very, very serious motorbike accident. Damn near life-threatening again. Broke my leg in 3 different places. It was a bad time. I remember I was rushed to emergency surgery, sorry. So I crashed 50 minutes later, 50 minutes for the ambulance to come. First there was fire brigade, then it was the police, and then it was that bad. The fire brigade was called. Last it was the ambulance. 50 minutes later, you got to keep in mind at this time...
You're bleeding out.
I'm bleeding out. But not only am I bleeding out, I'm taking medication because of the kidney, one of them being a blood thinner. When you're on blood thinners and you get cut, you bleed and you don't stop. So my leg was cut in loads of places. My artery had split open. I was unaware. Blood just gushing. 50 minutes later, ambulance show up. I'm rushed to emergency surgery. I wake up with a cage on my leg. Quite literally a cage. Confused.
We've got pictures. We're going to put that
We've
picture.
got pictures.
We'll
throw up the pictures so you guys can really understand. And I woke up really just not knowing what the hell was going on. Like, I've never seen a device like this. It literally looked like my leg was in a saw trap. I'm thinking, shit. And I woke up, so they gave me horse tranquilizer, ketamine, as a sedative. So I woke up high. Like, uber high. I didn't know left from right. I don't know if I was speaking English.
What else? Uber high.
Uber high. Uber means, I think, being in German or something.
Oh, because Uber normally means your taxi, no?
No. But yeah, I was uber high.
Uber high. All right, cool. Yeah.
So anyway, I come off. I'm in intensive care unit, ICU. Doctor comes in. He's like, yes, son, the surgery was good, but he's giving me this weird look. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, listen. And I'm thinking this to myself. I was like, I've been in the game long enough. I've been through the NHS long enough to know when a doctor's lying, and this doctor's lying. Yeah. I was like, Doc, all due respect, yeah, just tell me the truth, because I've been doing this. So you close the curtain as if that's privacy. Just everyone can still hear. But he closes the curtain, and he's like, it was bad. He goes, it is bad. He goes, we've done the surgery in the hopes that the bones will connect. The bones will probably connect, but that's not what we're worried about. It's the nerves. The nerves have been cut in so many different places and severed that we're worried you may not walk again.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I'm 22.
No, you're 23 now, aren't you?
23 at this point. Yeah, sorry, 23 at this point, and I've just been told that I'll never walk again. Again, you gotta remember, I know what life in a wheelchair looks like. Yeah?
I see it at home every day.
Bro,
That's added stress to
I felt
the
so
rest of your
sorry
family,
for this
yeah.
doctor, because I lashed out, man. I started using some blasphemous words. And I told him, and it was strange. It was a very, very strange moment, because I swore at him and I told him, you must not know who I am. I all due respect, I know what your test said, I know what, your scans or whatever that said. You need to read into my profile a bit more. You don't know the things I've gone through, you don't know what it takes for me to get here. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to walk into your office in 6 months. That's what I told him. 6 months. Give me 6 months and I'll walk into your office. After being diagnosed, I may not walk again. Yeah. Anyway, it's it's severed in. Again, we'll put the pictures up. Severed in loads of different places. I had to quite literally learn how to move my toes at first. They do give me physio and doing the exercise daily, religiously when no one's looking. Right. This is the thing. It wasn't a case of I was doing it for sympathy. I wanted to people. I needed to walk again. I needed to, because again, I've seen mum's still in a wheelchair. I can't live like that.
There's something about you living like that. Like, you're right now helping out your mum at home.
Yeah.
Who's gonna help you out if you're not walking? It's gonna be, that's more for the family.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm thinking about everything. Like you start thinking about everything. I'm 23 years old. What's gonna happen when I'm 26? Who's gonna want to marry me? Like all that bollocks, yeah. But anyway, slowly but surely, I started doing that exercise. It didn't take 6 months. It took 8. 8 months later, I walk into the doctor's office, smiling again, a bit of a lean and a bop, you know.
But walking,
and
showing your strength, your character, so all these things that we've been talking about from the beginning, and we're saying these come from your parents to start off with, but then we're now looking at your whole family. Your sister's donated her kidney for you. It just shows the strength of your family and the characteristics of your family and how you've been brought up and everything now going on to you. Because at that point, I know a lot of people. And even myself, I don't even know at 22 years old if I'm the same person I am right now, because I had to go through a lot to become this person. So at 22 years old, if someone told me I wasn't going to walk again, what would I have done? And I might have believed that person. I might not have done what you did, put that effort in, go that extra mile, and to say, no, I'm not going to be an extra burden in the house.
Of course.
I'm going to get back. And you spent the next 8 months proving the doctor wrong. Yeah. It must have been one of the best feelings of your life.
Best feelings of my life, but again, this mind over matter, there's a reason I go by IAMJHYA. I wear my surname on my back. That's the one I represent. It's not my first, it's the last, right? And it took, like you're saying, all of the experiences that I had up until this point, for the lessons to be learned, like I said, for the armour to be tested, for my skills to be hardened, my mind to be hardened and sharpened, for me to get over these things. Going back to what I said earlier in the podcast during the introduction, we're not sharing this story for sympathy. I couldn't care less, believe it or not. I don't care if you sympathise, I don't care what you feel and what you think. What I want you to do and what I really care about is for you to take these messages away. Take a second and listen to the guy that's literally gone to hell and back. And you know, the fact that I was able to overcome these things, I'm no one special, right? I'm just another dude.
You're special to me.
Thank you, bro.
That made me sick.
But I want you to take those messages away, you know?
Alright, so you know what, you touched up on it a little bit, so you're already falling behind to your peers.
Oh, bruv, like differently now. This is 3 years
now. You're 3 years behind.
3 years.
You're probably seeing people now get good jobs, getting promoted, people driving better cars, buying houses, and I know you're a passionate individual. I mean, you could tell on the microphone right now, you're a passionate individual. You could see it on everything we'll be doing, that you want something from your life.
100%.
So you seeing these lot grow, and you not, and you still be driving your silver Corsa.
I didn't even have the Corsa at the time.
At
the time, I had nothing. It was literally, again, ground zero. So this is challenge number 3, right? This is my third chance at life, so to speak. So you're completely right. I'm sitting there 3 years no action, 3 years out of the game, 3 years stagnant. Yeah. And I decided I have to come back with fire. I have to come back and do something big. When things like that happen to you, your perspective changes. Everything changes. The way you see things, the way you operate, the meanings you take away from things. So my mindset shifted in a way that I need to come back bigger and better, and I need to make the most out of what I've got, my skills, my talents. But yeah, I then got another job. Life was going good for a while. When was it? 2017. Now, this brings us 2017. I was hit with depression, man. Bad depression. First time it was so bad that I got written off. I went to the GP. I decided I had to do something about it. I went to the GP, spoke to the GP. They put me in touch with some next services where I had to speak to them all the time, and I got written off for, I think it was 4 weeks. And the first time it happened, they put you in touch with, what do they call them?
Social workers?
Nah, not social workers. Therapists.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's more like interactively over the phone. They check in on you, they talk to you and stuff. And after about the first week, I sat there, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it literally weighed in heavy. The reason why I was depressed, because I didn't deal with the things that I had just gone through. All of the experiences from the age of 6 onwards. Like, you listen back and it was some tough shit that I never really took on. It was always, I just took it in like a pressure cooker. I'll deal with it. Let's go next. I'll deal with it. Let's go next. And that just built up, and I cracked. Yeah. But I'm sitting there again, I'm 20, how old am I at this time? I'm 25, 25 or something. And I'm sitting there thinking, shit, I've just had 3 years out of my life taken. I'm now depressed. I can't do this. Like, my family rely on me. I rely on me. There's people out there that rely on me right now. I faked my way out of depression. I told the therapist I'm good. Every day I was like, yeah, I feel much better. I realised I need to do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. I lied through my teeth because I had to get back to work. Went back to work for the whole of, I believe it was like 3, 4, 5 months even. For the second time, I got hit with depression. It was so bad, I had to leave work. Like, it was that bad. At this point, Mum's in hospital again. She's in there for 4 months as opposed to her 2, 3, 4 weeks that she had. 4 months. That's a quarter of the year. The third of the year, my bad. That's a third of the year, yeah, that Mum's been in hospital. And you could relate to it somewhat, right? It's hard, bro.
Yeah, it's real
Not
hard.
only that, I've got stresses at home, I've got financial pressures on me, I've got work pressure on me. I sat there and realised that the only thing that I can actually control in this situation wasn't Mum, it wasn't home, it wasn't the other people around me. The only thing that was in my control was work. That's the only thing that I can take out of the equation where I'm not stressed. I was waking up stressed, going to sleep stressed, going to work stressed. And I was acting out of character, doing stupid things, getting into fights again, road rage, the whole 9 yards. Going back to the old me. I said I didn't come this far to go back to the old me, right? Pull myself out of work, and this was a bad time. But I sat. It was necessary. It was necessary because I sat there, I recalibrated. I had to pick myself back up. Now, if you look at all of these things that I've just discussed, the fundamental thing that I was able to do each and every time was pick myself back up. I don't know what it means to be on the campus for long. I get hit, I get back up, I get hit, I get back up. This was just another time for me. So I started meditating, I started reading, I started listening to me and my own body. And I realised that for my whole life, I've put everyone else first. I put my family first, my mum, my dad, my friends. Everyone else came before I did. Everyone's happiness was more important than my own. I had to make sure you was good before I was good, right? And me putting myself last is what ended me up with depression. So I flipped the script. 2018, I started a new job, and I decided that, I just turned 26. I turned 26. December 31st.
Your maths is just so bad.
Yeah, the maths is bad.
Yeah.
I turned 26, 2018.
Yeah. Because you're 27 now. No, 2017.
Yeah. So after my birthday, and I realised as I look, again, the beauty of being born on New Year's Eve is the fact that you sit there and you could reflect. So I'm sitting on my birthday, still depressed. I'm surrounded by friends and loved ones. And depression is one of those things where you feel very, very alone. So I'm in a room full of people I care about, and I'm still sitting there in the corner like I'm alone. I went home, I remember, before 11 o'clock. This is New Year's Eve. Everyone's out drinking, getting wasted. My friends are drinking and having a good time. I went home. Because the only thing I could think about was I need to start this year. I'm done. And I had a conversation with myself, straight up, out loud, talking to myself. I'm on my bed. And I said, listen, something's got to give, man. Something has to give because I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm tired of living like this. You can kick, you can scream, you can make every excuse in the world, but come midnight, that is it. 2018, that is it. I don't want to hear anything else. You stop letting external circumstances control you, and you start taking life by the reins and controlling it yourself. And I've done just that. So 1st of January, I woke up. Again, I'm at the start of a new job. I went into work, focused, worked extremely hard. Everything started changing, just like that. Once I changed my mindset, I started looking at things differently. I started actually putting me first, and self-love became a very big part of it. I was no longer living for my friends. I no longer put emphasis on the fact that I need to do this for this person, that person, this person. No, I came first, and that was the most important thing. And 2018 so far, it has to be one of the most successful years that I had. It was amazing. With 6 very short months. February. That February I received at that time one of the biggest paychecks I've ever received in my life, which further added to the fact that I started believing more in myself. Money had always been an issue. Again, 3 years out, in and out of jobs, and young kid. within 6 short months, I was able to not only live and save £10,000, which was the goal I set myself. 2018, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Had no clue how I was going to do it. But in 6 months, I have to have saved a minimum of £10,000. And I've done just that. At the time, I was driving a busted Corsa. Well, my friend gave it to me, right? Busted Corsa. Another one of my goals for 2018 was go out and get a new car. I didn't just get a new car, I got one of the baddest cars on the road. And again, I'm not saying that to brag or to blow trumpets, but I'm saying that as I was able to turn my situations around and achieve my goals. Walked into BMW, picked up one of the baddest cars in there, and drove straight out. Well, not really drove straight out, but you know the process. Got myself a really nice car. Ended the year with a lot of money in my bank account as well. So that was the turning point.
Not only did you end your year with a lot of money in your bank account, you also ended your year like you always end every year, with your birthday.
Yeah, with perspective again.
And your 2018 birthday going into 2019, which is this year, I was at that birthday.
You were there, man.
Yeah, and I remember how happy. It was emotional. Like, I'm not going to lie, on this podcast, you had tears in your eyes. And those tears, again, it probably goes back to the same tears that you had when your sister said everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
They were tears of you knowing everything is going to be all right.
100%.
I mean, it's a beautiful story. Like, I've heard it a few times now, and every time I could look you in the eye and I could just be as emotional, as connected, as deeply involved every single time. I don't know if it's the way you're telling me the story. I don't know if it's because you look me dead in the eye every time you tell the story. But that is a beautiful story. I mean, I think the clearest message right at the end is, if you can't put yourself first, you're never going to be able to affect any other situation, whether that be helping your family, your friends, anything in the world. Your happiness, you looking after you, is number one goal 100%. In life. I mean, that story was told to me by my ex's dad. I'm not going to lie. As in, like, unless you look after you, because when at that point I was going through my thing, innit? And then he said to me, unless you put you first, you can't put anyone first. And that's the biggest lesson that you're going to take from this is, firstly, put yourself first. And secondly, you could fight back from anything, man. Anything. And what you fought from since birth or before birth to now. Whew. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. That's taking lull
to a whole new different.
And I don't think they know what lull is, so we might have to come off. Shall we end it by letting them know what we just did with lull? Because we were laughing a lot, but we weren't really laughing, were we? No. What will we do?
Life out loud.
Life out loud.
And again.
Wait, 1 second. Wait, should we do it together?
All right.
On a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Life out loud. Jeez. So I'm going to end this episode. It's been a long listen, but it's been a beautiful listen. And if you went from A all the way to Z and you finished this podcast, you know how inspirational that story has been. It has been beautiful, and you will take away valuable lessons. Yeah, like I've always said, unless it happens to you, you don't know it. But right now we are sharing it. And on this podcast, that is what it's about. So today we were joined, and will always be joined, by IAMJHYA. He shared his story, but next time it could be you, the people in us.